Here we go.
You're tuning in to Will Love Listen. Now listen.
So today's a very special day because I have fellow podcasters, or rather the A-listers when it comes to podcasting, because their podcast is so successful. So very pleased to welcome Christine Schiefer and M. Schulz of And That's Why We Drink. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm super pumped. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Yeah, we're delighted to be here. Thank you.
You're gonna start by calling us A-listers. Like, we can stay. It's okay.
Well, I mean, you really are when it comes to like the podcast world, because I was looking at your stats, like, you've garnered over 200 million lifetime downloads, multiple awards, and I want to discuss those awards. Maybe we should start off the show discussing that.
Wow. Okay.
So,
M's flipping their hair.
What awards have you won? Let's pump it up.
Oh gosh.
So here's the thing. M's into trophies, and so every time an award like comes in, like a submission form comes in the mail, M's like, "Can we please submit in case we win another trophy?" So
Yeah,
that's mostly M's job.
I like tchotchkes and things and collectibles, and so we never apply thinking we'll win. I'm just like, oh, wouldn't it be fun if we just had another thing? And then we apply, and somehow we win. It's very lovely. Every time it happens, I'm like, oh my
it's
God,
very
it's so
validating. I think the biggest one was the Webby Award. We had years ago realized there was an award for podcasting, and we thought when we first started, wouldn't that be just like a milestone achievement? And so we put it on our little shared vision board. We lived in LA. We were very woo-woo at the time. And ultimately, years later, we ended up winning it, which was like a huge milestone. So I think that was probably the most important to us. But yeah, we've won a couple of podcast awards. It's an honor, as they say.
We have my personal favorite. I was looking at them to see. There's one called the Signal Award where the trophy looks like headphones.
Those are fun.
That's my favorite aesthetically. But no, the Webby means the most to us just because that was the first one we really shot for. So yeah, that's the best for sure.
Oh, I love that. Well, I mean, I feel like nowadays everyone has a podcast. So I really want to get into your story. But first I want to like backtrack a little bit because I want to go into like your background. So I want to know like from each of you, what was your life like growing up? And what did it entail? Like what led you here? Because there's always a story behind a podcaster. So I want to know like really what your life was like growing up.
What are you, my therapist? I have a lot. We could get started. It'll take a few hours.
In a nutshell.
You want to go first with your nutshell?
Sure, my nutshell. Well, let's see. I grew up in Virginia, and I was always really into ghosts and the paranormal and the spooky stuff, which for those who maybe haven't listened to our show before, Christine handles the true crime side of things on our podcast, and I come every week with a paranormal story. So it works very well that at least I ended up in the paranormal world. I've always really been into ghosts. Ghost stories were always my favorite. I had an aunt growing up who, whenever she came over, she would tell me ghost stories, and she was by proxy my favorite aunt. And then I also in high school, I grew up in an area where there wasn't too much to do. So in the middle of the night, a common activity of me and my friends was to break into abandoned houses and kind of with the hope that I guess we would see a ghost. I don't totally know what our plan was, but
teenagers don't think things all the way to the end.
No, if anything, it would have become more of a true crime than anything, and I would have not made it out. But no, we just like going into places that looked spooky or had some sort of creepy lore, and we would just kind of wander around. And that it was weirdly always a part of my life. And when I was 7, I saw my first ghost. I saw my grandpa a week after he passed, and I saw him like right in front of me. And so the next day I told my mom I wanted to grow up and be a Ghostbuster, and she said good luck, and it somehow worked out. So
take that, Mom.
Yeah,
that's very awesome. So how old were you exactly when you had that?
I was 7. Before that, I had already felt weird things in my house, which was odd because it was a new house. There shouldn't have really been any history in the structure. but I felt things as soon as we moved into the place, and a few years later, when I was 7, I saw my grandpa.
Wow.
Mhm.
Well,
Christine,
I
that
mean, when did I see my first ghost? I don't know. No, I had a similar upbringing to Em in a lot of ways, in that I also love to kind of wander around places that I probably shouldn't be, and didn't think it through, and thankfully made it out unscathed for the most part. But I was always very into creepy stuff like Stephen King, and I had my own Ouija board that I would hide under my bed because my stepdad kept trying to throw it away because it was demonic. Um, and so I was always into the creepy stuff too, but I thought it was just me. And then it took years until I met Em in grad school, where we were both studying television, and we kind of bonded over our mutual love of the unexplained. And I also was very fascinated by true crime. At the time that Em and I became friends, I was working as for a private investigations company. So I would come home and tell Em all these wild stories of what I experienced. Then Em would tell me all these wild stories from when they were a ghost hunter in college. And over time, we just thought, let's put microphones down and make a podcast and see what happens.
Mm. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I forgot to mention probably the crux of my past, which is that I've been a ghost hunter before I actually met Christine.
Oh, I
really?
wanted
Um,
to introduce that for you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Em
sure.
the ghost hunter.
Well, so yeah, it was my college job, which was like the best job in the world. But
Meanwhile, I
uh,
worked at the law library doing administrative assistant work, and you were out in like abandoned buildings introducing people to ghosts.
yeah, I went to school in Colonial Virginia, and so between Jamestown, Williamsburg, and Yorktown, there was definitely a lot of history there. And I started at one place where, it's a long story. I started as a Segway tour guide, and then they had a lot of jobs for me to do. And so um I ended up at night becoming like one of the main people that ran their ghost tours. And through the ghost tours, I ended up meeting people who actually wanted me to like come do real ghost hunting work with them. And um yeah, so it was very fun.
Wow, that's interesting. So, I mean, you saw a ghost, you were a ghost hunter, um, you're a amateur true crime investigator, and then you guys merged.
Yes, exactly. And I think we were really lucky with the timing, because at the time there really weren't any true crime and paranormal podcasts. This would have been 2017. My Favorite Murder was like opening the floodgates to true crime, and people finally like admitting they were interested in it. So I think we got in right at the right time, not even realizing it. We just did it for fun. And after a few months, we were like, oh, people are listening to this who aren't our mom and dad. So I guess this
Yeah.
is a real thing now.
Yeah, we've said a million times to each other that if we tried to start a podcast today, it just wouldn't have happened. It was really, we found the
The
sweet
sweet
spot.
spot. Yeah.
I think it was before, well, it was before COVID, when everyone was stuck at home, so everyone got a microphone. They're like, oh, well, we could do a podcast too.
Yeah,
And on top of that, now it's like very celebrity focused. I think at the time I feel like a lot of podcasts Christine's the one who taught me what a podcast was. So I'm going off of the podcast she introduced me to, but I feel like a lot of them were just
Like indie
yeah, it was
podcasts.
just people just wanting to hang out and talk, and it hadn't become this massive industry that it is now. So
that's so you really jumped on it on that right time without even realizing it.
Yes, that's the biggest
truly,
thing,
yeah.
and we did not realize it.
So, what year did you guys actually meet? Because you met in no
2014.
grad school, right?
Yeah,
We
we met
met
in 2014.
we met at the end of 2014. It was the first semester of grad school for us, and we met in Boston. And we actually didn't run in the same circles. Not in a, like a, I feel like that always sounds like we didn't like each other. We just really didn't hang out all that much, and we knew of each other. But the final portion of our program was to send us out to Los Angeles so we could start networking while we were finishing up our program. And after the program ended, everybody moved back, but Christine was one of the only people who stayed in LA, and I was one of the only people who stayed in LA. So truly out of like desperation to know somebody in the town, I reached out to Christine, and I was like, we're all we've got. We're gonna have to be friends now. Um, and we didn't really know what to talk about. We didn't know each other all that well, but Christine very quickly asked if I liked podcasts, and I said, "What's a podcast?" And And that's how
The
we got
rest
here.
is history.
That's so interesting. So you did meet in 2014, but the podcast didn't really come about until 2017.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
we became friends like end of 2016 and like very quickly decided to start a podcast together, which again, nowadays I feel like I would be a little more
Yeah.
hesitant to just like randomly start such a big project, but I don't think we realized it was going to be such a big project. We just did it
No.
kind of for fun.
We within 2 months of knowing each other, we started the podcast. Like within 2 months of being friends.
Yeah.
But I
It's a
think
bold
it was,
move.
I think we both saw it as, neither of us saw it as becoming like our careers. We saw it as, oh, this will be a fun way to get to know each other. And if it doesn't become anything, then at least we've got like our first conversations together,
For
solidified and
posterity's sake.
something documented for a sweet memory.
Yeah.
At what point in time did it go viral? And were you guys trying anything or doing anything to sort of
Mm.
garner all the attention that it seems to have garnered naturally?
So I was working a desk job at the time, and Em was working in a prop house, so their job was much more hands-on, I think, and like very involved. Mine was mostly just sitting and answering phones. And so I kind of not so subtly spent all my hours building up like a social media following and trying to learn everything I could about how podcasting works and how to grow your show and how to grow social media. And so I spent a lot of time doing that. And I think that was kind of where it started to pick up, like on Twitter back in the day. Like, we'd reach out to people who listened to similar shows. And then I think the first like big jump we saw was when I think it was either Newsweek or BuzzFeed posted like a listicle, of like best holiday like for a road trip, like best podcast to listen to, and ours was on the list. And I remember Em and I on the phone like, well, what's happening, and all of a sudden we were getting all these downloads and social media followers. And I think whichever one it wasn't, BuzzFeed or Newsweek, then picked it up like 2 weeks later, and we were like, oh boy. So we kind of saw it building in real time, which was very cool. But yeah, it just took a lot of like hustling online for those first few months. But yeah, it slowly started to pick up steam.
This is where I jump in immediately. I have to do it every single time. But Christine is absolutely the reason that we are a success. I truly felt like the personality hire, because I
Which, by
would
the way, in a
just,
podcast is like the main person, so like
It
the
is.
main talent. So
but
I wouldn't diss
I,
yourself on that.
well, I don't mean it to sound even, in a positive light. I didn't mean it in the only way. When I say that, I mean, like, I feel like I just showed up and talked to the microphone and then left, but I didn't really do any of the front end or back end. Christine was in charge of like anything that happened online that got us any notoriety or any traction. That was all Christine. Christine did all the editing. Christine, I mean, she's really absolutely the reason that we took off. So I have to again give you, your
Well,
accolades.
I appreciate it. Awkwardly, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Forever grateful.
That's great that it all worked out. And I love your story because it now is like the biggest freaking thing. And you touched on a good point. There was nothing like what you were doing at the time. And
Yeah.
now I feel like there's been a lot of knockoffs. So often imitated, never duplicated, as they say.
Amen.
You said it, not me, but no, there's actually anytime now when I meet somebody, it's so weird. It jumped from, I didn't mean to interrupt you, by the way. I know you were leading into a question.
Oh no, that's fine. Yeah.
Um, but it's always so funny now because the first 2 years of us doing this, I feel like anytime we met somebody and they asked what we do for a living, we would say, "Oh, we're true crime podcasters," and they'd go, What is? I don't even know what that is." Like a podcast was not a concept. And now the switch immediately changed where if we say, "Oh, we're podcasters," everyone goes, "Oh, well, everyone has a podcast."
And they go, me
And
too. Yeah,
and
nice.
we never got any moment where people could just go, "Oh, great, good for you."
Yeah, people have opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. But what do you think now that there's so many like sort of duplicates?
I love it. I love it
Yeah.
because I'm all about like,
Okay.
rising tide, all that. I'm like, you know what? Everyone has something to offer. You can't really like, unless you take somebody's content and record it and
That's
re-release it,
true.
which
Yeah.
people have done. um, it's I feel like everybody has a different take, and so we've made friends through the whole podcast world who have similar shows or even completely different, but maybe similar sense of humor. And so I think it's actually been really cool because we've gotten to meet so many people who, have similar attitudes and interests. And I mean, even personally, I listen to so many podcasts that I'm like delighted to find. I don't want to listen to my own, so I'm glad when other people also make creepy shows that I can listen to. So
I was gonna say, I think you could probably talk about this more than I can, Christine, but I remember when we first started, we saw that we've talked about this before openly. This isn't like a breaking news, but we started the same week that another true crime podcast started, and this was before there were no other true crime podcasts except for like My Favorite Murder, which was not, we were not in competition with them. But another one started the same week we did. And I remember for a while being really like threatened and freaked out. And uh we like had to talk about it. And then it turned into like, let's like, you know, let's what's the phrase? If you can't beat them, join them. And it's, let's make sure that we go into this podcasting space like being really open and trying to network. And what we found out, or what maybe Christine knew even before me, is that at least back then, I don't know about now, but starting a podcast, everybody was so accepting of each other. Like the podcast community was really open and really helpful to all getting to know each other and being really helpful with each other. I remember Christine would be like, I don't know when's the best time I should post an episode. And a bunch of other podcasts would reach out and be like, oh, definitely do this day. And everyone was just so kind. So I think there was a moment, especially for me, where I was ready to like be threatened by other shows. And very early we were like, no, everyone seems just so kind.
yeah,
So
that's the thing. Like, there's space for everybody and every interest. I mean, I'm sure anybody who has any sort of niche interest can probably find at least one podcast like about, I don't know, model trains. I'm sure there's a ton, but you know what I mean? Like so I think yeah, we were a little overwhelmed at first, like, oh my God, are we going to be competing with all these other businesses? But in reality, like people listen to more than one podcast and
yeah,
people love to go to live shows and people love to learn about new shows. So it's all a very like open and welcoming space usually. So we are
and
thankful for that.
spoiler alert, the podcast that I was threatened by ended up becoming like really good friends of
Our good
ours, and we
friends. Yeah.
were able to
Also,
like back and forth. So it totally worked out. It was the totally the right move to start out just being open and accepting instead of feeling threatened by everyone. And we've carried that out for the last 7 years. So
that's great. I love your attitude about it. I really do. Um, and your backstory is quite interesting. And what I also found interesting is outside of all the awards and the millions of downloads is that you had started for a while a subsequent podcast called Rituals,
Mm.
which I thought that was great as well. And that's been put on pause, right? Do you
Yeah,
think you're
so
continue
so
with
that
that?
was actually a project that Parcast with Spotify set up with like alongside us and asked us to host. They had their Parcast research team doing the scripts, and then we would come on and host. And we had done a couple seasons, but I guess they moved Parcast around and switched a bunch of their programming, and so they're not doing a lot of their original programming anymore. I think Spotify leaned into more like either pre-existing shows or like hiring kind of like celebrity hosts, that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
they've
I'm not a
gotten rid
fan of
of.
that.
Yeah,
They did that, and I'm really not a fan of that because they've been trying to do that with what Megan. They did that with Meghan Markle, didn't they? Do that with Kim Kardashian, and
yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and so, we were fortunate because we had another podcast that we were able to kind of, and it wasn't any bad, no bad blood. Like we left on great terms. We loved doing rituals, but it was also a lot of work. So, it's okay to have that off our plate. But yeah, we do have some, friends who were hit a little harder by it just because this was their main podcast.
it was
That
their
was.
only podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we were fortunate that we had something to fall back on, but that was for us. It was more just like kind of like a side project. But yeah, it was kind of when they brought Kim Kardashian on and stuff that they got rid of a lot of the original content. So we were part of
yeah.
that
So,
push.
My mom likes to tell people that Kim Kardashian is the reason I don't have a
Yeah,
podcast over at Spotify. But
she fired us.
and I'm gonna let her believe that. So
but hey, that's still good. You'd rather be pushed out by Kim Kardashian than anyone else.
I
yeah,
mean,
for the
it's true.
story, for the plot, of course.
I'll
Yeah.
take it.
And now your book, Haunted Road Atlas, it debuted on the New York Times bestsellers list, and it was a big hit. Do you plan to release another book in the near future, or are you currently working on one?
Oh yeah, it comes out September 24th. We're very excited. Oh, M has a copy. Okay. Well, this is our second one. We're very proud of it.
Oh,
It's
I
called a
love
haunt. I didn't plan for this nice like QVC display, but I love it.
it. Do it
It's called
again. Put it
I
up.
Oh
know,
yeah,
right?
yeah. All right, hang on.
Like
I'll do like
the influencer.
the rotating model.
Yes. Do
Yeah,
the influencer promotion.
yeah.
Yeah, put
Oh
your
yeah.
hand in front of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's called A Haunted Road Atlas Next Stop, which is basically like the second installation because when we wrote the first Haunted Road Atlas, we wanted to write about like 60 different cities and our publisher was like that's going to be a 4,000 page book. Like you need to cut it down. So once we did that, we knew for the second one we wanted to include a bunch of cities that we weren't able to fit in the first one. So yeah, we're pretty proud of it. It comes out September 24th and it's on pre-order right now. So, if anyone's interested, it has road trip games. It has in every town, the haunted hotels to stay at, which best bars. And
Oh,
then
I
M tells, yeah, we had really a lot of fun writing it. And because I mean, the research is just like, what would we want to do when we go to specific towns? So,
yeah,
and each
exactly.
story has like, I cover a true crime case from that city and M covers a paranormal case. Um, yeah, so it's a lot of fun, but if anyone's interested, yeah, it's on pre-order now. So
It's like a
officially
road
for
trip
sale.
guide.
What'd
Like
you
a
say?
like a haunted road trip guide in a way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
it is. That was the idea. Some of them you probably can't drive to, like Honolulu or
Yeah.
whatever, but most of them are drivable, more like a travel atlas. But yeah,
Yeah.
we're
And
pretty
there's
proud of it.
lists of like ghost tours you can do and weird shops in the area and kind of the off the beaten path hidden gems. So it's nice.
I can't wait. I'm definitely getting it.
Oh, yay.
I'm into all things paranormal, which we'll get to, and the timing is perfect because you're releasing in the fall. I think it makes like a good holiday gift.
Hmm.
Definitely. Yeah,
Our season.
yeah, if we could be the ultimate Halloween gift, that would be a real
You know
treat.
how
So
everyone exchanges gifts on Halloween? We should.
every trick-or-treater should just like have one like thrown in their pillowcase.
Yeah, there
So
you
They
go.
should. They
yeah.
should.
It's probably PG-13 because there's a lot of true crime in there, but we can cross those parts out.
Yeah.
And the book release also coincides with the tour, which I want to get into like extensively because even though this is a big tour, you've been doing live podcasts for quite some time. And I felt like you guys were one of the first ones doing it, honestly. Um, and then Christine, you really were because I feel like you started doing the whole live podcast thing, and then not to mention names, but well, a lot of names started hopping on the bandwagon. Um, so how do you feel about that? Because I remember I was talking to Lisa Lampanelli, who I want to get into the relation back in like uh, I mean, I've interviewed her quite a few times.
Right.
But I think this was even back in like I want to say 2020, 2019. And she told me that you were doing live podcasts then, I think.
Yeah,
So
we were.
Oh, she's our
We were in New
biggest
York.
fan. It's
Yeah,
very
she's the
kind.
best. She's so supportive of us, and always comes to our shows. Like she'll fly out to random towns just to come see us, which is really fun.
so how is that? Like the whole you've really got a hold of the whole live podcast concept. But like even now after doing it, well, first off, how long have you been doing it? When did you start? Like what year? And two, how is it? Is there a lot involved, or now is it like, you dust your shoulders off, no stress? How would you describe the process?
Oh boy, talk about a freaking roller coaster, man. I gotta say a lot of it has been what do you call it? Trial and error. A lot of
Mhm.
trial and error. We started back in what, 2018 or
Yeah.
2019, and we were
It
doing
was
kind
it
of
was why we had to quit our like day jobs because it was actually the one thing I told Christine if we ever started a podcast. She was like, some podcasts like go do like live shows. Like, do you think we could ever do that? And I have such debilitating stage fright. I was like, Christine, we can do whatever we want with this podcast. We will never go on stage. There's
and
just
was
no
like,
way.
I will quit before I go on stage. Now look
Yeah.
where we are.
And
That
then
just shows how much of a, I don't know, a bully I am, how much I can
it just shows how powerful Xanax is. That's all.
yeah, there you go. The modern
Um,
drug
but
industry, yeah.
yeah, so we were like we wouldn't even know how to do a live show, and then we ended up having like someone reach out to us and say that they were in charge, they could do a whole tour for us. And that was when we had to decide if we were really committing to the podcast full time or if we were going to say no to the tour and keep our day jobs.
And just to like twist the knife in M's heart, the first live show was on M's birthday. So M was like petrified. And we had to go drive down to Irvine, California and do a live show. And we at the time were doing just local stories
Mhm.
because we had actually not copied, but imitated what My Favorite Murder had done, which was they go to different towns and they would read a true crime story or tell a true crime story on stage. And so Em and I said, oh, well, why don't you tell a ghost story from each town and I'll tell a true crime story. And it started off fine.
Yeah, well, that also, we didn't know, we had no idea. Like you said, there were so few people doing live shows. We didn't even know what a format would look like. We didn't know if we had to write like a bit. And so we just kind of went off
We
of what
didn't
we'd
even know
seen
how to
other
turn
people
on a
do.
microphone. Like it was a mess.
We did not know what we were doing. And so, yeah, we just kind of went with what we saw other people doing at the time. And we realized very quickly that we were so, like, I mean, we also didn't know how to say no. One of the
We
first
have
things
terrible boundaries,
we had worse ones then.
way
And
worse.
we were warned, I think, by Lisa. I think she said your first tour will be your worst because you don't know how to say no yet.
Yep.
And uh that was very true. We were just so excited that people wanted to see us, and we were so excited that people wanted to see us. We were also scared that, like, now that we've committed to this life, like, what if we don't make enough money? We have to say yes to these shows. And we ended up with like nearly a 50 city tour.
Within like a 3-month period. And
Yeah.
remember, every show is different. Even when we have two in one day, which sometimes they would say, oh, like Houston wants to do 2 shows back to back on a Thursday. And we were like, okay. And then, 2 shows the next day in Dallas. And we said yes to everything, doing different shows at every single time. And it ended up
While
almost killing us.
Yes, we were doing 50 original pieces essentially, while also coming up with research for our
Oh,
actual.
right. Doing the normal weekly podcast also. Yeah. Yeah.
So in a 3-month period, we probably came up with like we were doing research on 70 different topics individually. She was doing 70, I was doing 70, and we were always together. We were traveling nonstop. We were in like, we were working at venues that maybe like weren't super respectful of us. They didn't really know what we were about because we weren't actually
Well, at
comedians.
that point too, people were like, "What the fuck is a podcast? What the heck is a podcast?" Like, we only do like Lisa Lampanelli style comics. We don't do podcasts. So yeah, that was a
Yeah,
hurdle.
so from every angle, it was not all that fun. It was exciting to like meet people who listened to us. That was very shocking to actually see people in real life who actually like maybe knew who we were. But other than that, it was just constant stress, and it was eating at us, and our actual podcast suffered, and people could hear that we were just so sick of each other. And like it meant it was like there was no actual bad blood. We were just so burnt out, and we just kept having to see each other. And part of the fun of our podcast is like catching up with each other, but there's nothing to catch up on
Yeah.
because we
Like, I
were
saw
always
you two
together.
hours ago on the Amtrak. I'm still car sick and I don't want
Yeah.
to do this, but it's due at midnight tonight. So people sense that, and so after a certain point, we reached a breaking point. We said if we want to keep the main show alive, which we have to, that's the whole
It's
basic
our career
basis,
now. We
the
signed up for
career
this.
of our show. If we want to keep like the weekly episodes as good as possible, which is the ultimate goal, then if we tour, we need to be a little more conscientious about it. And so we've started doing it's a much more involved tour up front, but then when we get to the actual shows, they're the same at every venue. And so
Mhm.
essentially we spend a lot of time, we'll do a ghost, like a paranormal investigation, and overnight we film the whole thing. And then we set up a comedy show, but also a pretty scary comedy show where we, feature our evidence from our ghost hunt, plus some fun bits and a drinking game and all that. And we make it interactive, and we have the screens with all our clips from the ghost hunts we've done, and it's more scripted, and so that way we're able to kind of repeat it in different venues, which has made our lives a lot easier. But it's definitely a lot of work, but it's fun. I think we're not gonna go back from this format.
No, I
No,
really hope not.
no.
There would be a crisis going on behind the scenes if we did.
I like that. Hey, at least your first tour was a major success.
Yes, we're
Thank
very
God.
fortunate.
So
We
you
did
did
sell out a
say
lot
no
of
to
shows. We
anything.
like That's not lost on us either. That's such a good point. Like, we were very fortunate that we were able to add all these shows and see all these people. So yeah, it was a good thing, but it ended up kind of nearly killing us.
And you've done quite a few of them now by this point. Like, what number is this? If you even
Gosh.
pull up
We
that.
just we That's a good question. We just found out. Remember, we
Yeah,
were,
you were counting.
well, we were hanging out together, and I actually messaged our tour manager, and I was like, "Do you happen to know the number?" And it was something like 200 or something, or it was 100 something. It was a milestone number,
Yeah.
and I don't remember what it was now, but it was certainly not 50 because we got all those done in the first tour.
Yeah, we
Um,
did that real fast.
but it was something like 200 or some big number that we should have celebrated and just never did.
Oh,
Right.
wow. Congratulations.
Thank
Oh,
you.
well, thanks. We have so much fun on the tour, but it's definitely a lot, but it is like it's become a huge part of the podcast is seeing people live and yeah.
Now that you have the format down pat, are you able to like give away what fans could expect on this current tour?
So we are still in the process of filming and editing all of it. So even we aren't quite sure yet, but we do have a good idea as far as the format will be the same as past years, which is that we will be showing footage from a paranormal investigation we did that is yet to be named to the public, and it's most that part's generally surprised when people come to the show and we announce where we went for our ghost hunt. But yeah, so people can come and watch. We'll show clips of the scariest things that happened to us that night, the probably the funniest, probably the most embarrassing, and then there's always a drinking game involved because I need one. And
It
so yeah,
also
it'll be
loosens up the audience so they laugh more
yeah,
at it.
yeah, yeah. We want everyone to have a lot of fun. But I think the best part ever, the
I
best
like that.
compliment we get.
I'd enjoy
Yeah, we
it.
had fun with a drinking game. I think my favorite part of any show we go to, the best compliment is when somebody says, "Oh, I dragged someone here and they're so scared they made me leave the lights on tonight to go to bed," like my partner and so
Best
I'm always like,
compliment.
"Oh, that's the best compliment. That means we actually scared people, but still got laughs." So that's
Mm.
kind of what we go for.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be at the Newark one.
Yay!
Oh,
So
great.
Oh, good.
I'm so excited for that one.
Yeah, we don't even know yet what it's gonna look like, so good
Yeah,
luck to you.
you're actually catching us right in the middle of like our like panic zone where
Frenzied.
it seems to be our a schedule in our calendar at this point that every summer it's right after our last tour ended. And so now we're filming and editing and just praying that we can write a really good script around what we found and hope it comes out. So we're in the middle of that right now. We're like we hope we found enough
So
and we hope
we're
that it's funny
faking
and
it till we're making it.
yeah. So let us
Uh,
know how we do.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. I think it'll be
oh, no, I'm
good.
confident it'll be good, and the timing's perfect. I'm assuming, and the Jersey date coincides like it's like what, a week or two before the book release. Um,
Yeah.
so are any of the dates after the book comes out? Because I'm wondering if people could buy the book at any of the
Oh,
dates.
yes, we will be selling the book at several places. A lot of times, so what we do is we try to hire local indie bookstores to sell at the shows just
Oh, I
to,
love
also support them. And so in cities, essentially in cities that where we're not doing a book tour, like a book signing, we will have sellers at most of them at the live shows selling the book. Signed books, I believe.
Nice, nice. I love that.
Yeah.
Are you gonna
It's
have
fun.
any in advance that are gonna be exclusively available at the shows before they come out?
I don't think so. I don't think we even get the copies in until the release, but I could be wrong.
But no, I think you're right. But that would be a good
Okay.
idea. That would be like I don't
Fun
know how
little
to make that happen, but I
pre-party.
like it.
That is a good idea, right?
You get like a
Yeah.
secret
For the
copy,
show,
Secret stash.
advance copy.
before it comes out, signed.
Yeah.
I like that. I kind of hope you take my advice.
Yeah, we'll try.
I have no problem asking.
Um, so like one of the reasons I'm like big fans of you is because like true crime and the paranormal are all things I've been interested in. So like growing up, I was like mutually interested in Coast to Coast AM as a listener and Unsolved Mysteries as a viewer. And I'm sure you're familiar with, both of them.
Hmm.
Now, what do you think about the changes that the paranormal and crime shows have taken over the years? Because I kind of miss how the format was back in the 90s and 2000s as opposed to today, where everything just seems like a little bit too overproduced.
Mhm.
Um, so I have a couple questions about that, but that's my first one.
Yeah, I mean, I think Em and I probably are in the same boat on that. Like that's one big thing about when we go on these investigations. A, we try not to act like jerks to the ghosts and scream at these dead
Uh-huh.
people, we're trying to be as respectful as possible. But B, nothing that we do is faked at all, because like what's the point of spending the night somewhere if we're gonna fake it, but I am very heartened that, is that a word? I don't even know. But I'm very happy that a lot of the new shows coming out are like hosted by queer folks. There's a lot of like queer ghost hunting shows coming
Yeah,
out right
that is
now,
good. Yeah, I
which
like
is like so
that.
fun and
Instead of just
del-
angry white men.
instead of
Yeah.
angry.
It's
And
all
so,
bad.
that's been a plus. But yeah, we do have the occasional movie night where we'll have a sleepover and just kind of watch those really cheesy, overproduced shows for fun. But yeah, I love me some classic unsolved mysteries, so I'm with you on that.
I
I
also think about oh, sorry.
oh no, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say for true crime though, I think one of the things that I miss about the old shows that even we're at fault for is that a lot of true crime storytelling is now through podcasts and a lot of people trying to do comedy with true crime. And instead of it just being like these like Dateline NBC, straight to the point things, I feel like a lot of them try to be too goofy. And I like to think that we have found the perfect gray space between, being entertaining while also not being disrespectful to any victims in the stories. But I think there's a lot of people trying to lean into mainly the humor of it all, and if not that there even is humor in it. But that's one of the things that I've definitely noticed in the last several years or since my childhood. There was no funny true crime, so
Hmm.
um
Yeah, it's
I
a
think,
hard space to stay in that gray area, but we try to keep the humor at our own expense, not
yeah,
anybody
pointed at
else's.
us.
Yeah, see,
Mhm.
that's what I like about you guys is like the humor, because I've listened to different podcasts, like true crime podcasts. My friend had one playing on like a 6-hour road trip we were on, and I just couldn't get into it in part because they would start telling the story and it would be an interesting story, and then they would kind of poke fun at the victims, be like, "Oh, why
Mm,
I to do that?" And they start making it into a joke, and it's kind of
Ooh,
like it just gets a little bit awkward, and it's kind of like
yeah.
getting to the point where at least like your humor is a little bit more self-deprecating, and it's
yeah.
not like you're poking fun at the victims the entire time. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. And we
Yeah.
we also reserve a lot of the humor for M's side of the story because it's the ghost story, and a lot of times there's less
It's more of an
real
urban
life.
legend than like
Yeah,
hard facts that
it's
that's a
easier to
true story.
joke in
Yeah,
M's
yeah.
stories, so that tends to happen too.
Do you feel like shows like, for example, Unsolved Mysteries should return in a large capacity? Like, for example, when they aired for like 12 years, they were on like, would be an actual season where it was on a weekly basis and it was very like live. Like if someone saw
Hmm.
something or like, oh, I think I spotted that person, they could call in the number. Whereas now this Netflix reboot, it's only a few episodes and they drop everything all at once. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it just doesn't feel, you don't have that live in the moment
It's not
connect.
like interactive. Yeah.
Interact.
Almost feel like that's where TikTok has taken over almost. Like, because I remember when that Unsolved Mysteries new version came out, I went on TikTok and searched one of the things, and all these people were discussing it and making videos and saying, "Oh, I have a theory." And people were, so I think that's almost moved to like social media rather than directly. But yeah, it was kind of cool to be able to call and say, I saw that UFO too.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
It felt very like a like old school American Idol where you would text in real time for like who you want to win.
Vote for Justin Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was no, it was definitely more, it made every episode more interesting because you're like, oh, what's gonna be the new,
Hmm.
like what were they gonna talk about this time? I feel like at least because of people's obsession with nostalgia that it should come back the way it did.
Hmm. That would be
Instead of
cool.
this weird reboot. But yeah, I like the original format. I feel like again, where I know that I'm literally part of the crowd that I'm kind of poo-pooing on, but everything is hyper produced in a lot of ways now comparatively.
Yeah, no, that is true. I don't think your stuff is not overproduced though.
Well, we wish we couldn't overproduce something if we tried. We're constantly having some sort of technical issue. I'm literally in my mother's office right now because my internet went down yesterday and we couldn't record. So, we're winging it all the time. And we thought that was just a fun like trait we put on for the show, but it turns out that's just our whole reality.
Yeah.
Just winging it all
It's
the
not a
time.
personality it's not a quirk we thought it was.
Yeah.
It works though, because see,
Oh,
exactly,
thanks.
people like that because it's not overproduced. It's real. It's like
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. We're very real at the very least. We're very real because we can't help it. We can't help but just, I don't know, blurt out whatever we're thinking.
so yeah, I'm with you there. I'm glad we all agree. Like, especially with this 90s like nostalgia obsession. Like I just interviewed one of the actors from, the Ted movies. Now it's a series on
Y-
Peacock.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
everyone wants nostalgia. So I feel like that Unsolved Mysteries America's Most Wanted, like where it was like weekly and interactive, should like return.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, we should start that. TM, TM,
Maybe I
TM.
should,
Guys,
yeah,
should we produce it? No, you can join us. Let's all do it together. It's your idea.
I love it. Yeah.
I'll just put my name on the credits. I don't know what my involvement will be, but I'll be there.
Getting,
Yeah.
getting Newsweek and BuzzFeed.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
we go. I'll come Newsweek. Yeah, there you go.
Getting the good press. So you also mentioned that, which the one good thing about like the changes in like the paranormal and true crime industry is that at least now we have a lot more like queer and LGBT hosts and representatives, which we didn't have previously. Everyone used to be very stern and
Mhm.
Mm.
robotic, but now we have like a lot more diversity, which I love. At the same time, in the US right now, there just seems to be like a rise in like homophobia. And I've been
Mhm.
noticing it on social media. I'm like, how is homophobia fucking
Like, what's
trend?
happening? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I see it on Twitter a lot. It's kind of fucking shocking.
Really?
Yeah,
I haven't even touched Twitter, but I have there's an Instagram page in my neighborhood dedicated. They're literally called the Burbank Bigots, and they just all they do is just post like the fucking nastiest
What?
stuff. Yeah. I don't like they're like proud of it. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Ew.
so like I'm just shocked at all this rise. And I feel like one person will do something, one whack job will do something, and they like lump everyone else into it. And it's like
Mhm.
I can't stand it. But it's alarming at the same time. So like what are your thoughts on it? Like have you noticed it? You,
The Burbank Bigots have let me know that
yeah,
They've made their presence known,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, I think that page is like someone ironically posting all the stuff they've found through different before like they get like ripped apart as a page.
Oh,
I
geez.
think
I
it's
was about
someone
to go report them. Okay, never
I think
mind.
it's someone ironically posting like all the awful people in Burbank. But no, I've totally noticed it, especially when I live in Los Angeles and I mean I grew up in Virginia, so I thought over here was like supposed to be a bunch of like dirty woke hippies or something. And then I
yeah.
moved over here and there's actually it's shocking how there's only like patches of really liberal areas. And then a lot of California is very red. And I did not see that coming. But on top of that, even the blue patches, I've been noticing more activity recently from people who would usually keep their mouths fucking shut. And they're really letting everybody know that they're there. And yeah, it's gross. It feels unsafe. It makes me nervous. I just saw that video in Nashville a couple days ago where there was a bunch of people. It was like I'm assuming they were like Proud Boys or something, but they were just carrying like Confederate flags through the streets. And like, I
Yeah,
don't
like,
know.
there's like a rise in it. And like and what annoys me is like here's a perfect example. So a couple weeks ago there was like some I don't even know when it was last month. There was some like pride event in Canada, not even America. And like apparently a couple guys were naked or overexposed in the streets and kids were around and so I don't agree with that. Obviously, that should not be happening. But now you have all these bigots saying, oh, this
Oh,
is why there
God.
should not be LGBT acceptance because it's programming crits and stuff. They take like an isolated incident, which is not the,
Mm-hmm.
and then they put everyone underneath that umbrella. And it's just infuriating because I feel like any little opportunity will be used as an excuse to like
Mm-hmm.
target a group. Like what if like I did that with like some like straight like school shooter and said,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
they're all like that. Obviously,
All white teenage boys are school shooters, right? It doesn't
yeah,
make any
and
sense. Yeah.
obviously they're all not like that. But you're going to use some example in another country where like a few like, you know, naked, like whatever they are, members of the LGBT community were exposing themselves in front of kids and say they're all like that. Well, we could easily do the same thing. And it's just like, but stuff like that where you use an isolated incident and use it to target an entire group, I've noticed is becoming very common,
Well, the
especially on social media.
the irony is that they're the same people who will say like not all men, but they will say like all
Yeah, there you go.
gays. So
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so
but
true.
I do I even have like family members who have, and it's not even isolated events. They'll just decide something and then just deem it evil. Like with all the last year there was all the book banning because God forbid there be like a book about two dads or something. And I had family members calling me saying like, "Oh, did you know that the books that they have in kids' libraries say this, 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 and this?" And they were describing porn. They were describing like really X-rated stuff. And I was like, I know that's not in a child's book, and I know that's not in a library. And but they would just hear it from, again, Virginia. They hear it from some like
Facebook.
redneck in the woods, yeah, or on Facebook, and officially it's just fact in their mind, and there's no, and of course it's the people who say do your own research, right? Who are like, listen to
Yes.
the redneck in the woods,
Yeah.
and all of a
That's my
sudden
own research.
yeah, it's like
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
another
sick.
one. It's like the isolated pride event is like I see on Twitter, they're posting all these very graphic kids book that they say is porn and available in schools everywhere. And I'm thinking to myself, really? Because when I was in school, I don't fucking remember anything like that. So
No.
I really don't think in a short amount of time now children's books are now pornography books. And it
Yeah.
seems like it's probably another case it was probably an isolated incident somewhere, but now they're acting like it's everywhere and using it as an excuse for bigotry.
Like I was traumatized enough during just going to Catholic school. I don't
Yeah.
need like none of the books I read, like The Giver, wasn't gonna make me like into a porn star. I don't understand. I like the logic is just not there for me.
Yeah, especially, I mean, it's such a, I'm not saying anything either of you haven't heard before, but when you say like, oh, well, I grew up in a straight household, I didn't end up straight, like you can't say that because someone, you're
Yeah,
not
like you see,
preventing anything. You're not
yeah,
preventing,
and that's another
it's
thing.
like a
Yeah.
book's not going to change you, and even it doesn't even exist, but if it did, it still wouldn't change you. But yeah, the logic is out the window.
And then like what was the other thing that I've been seeing a lot of recently? Oh, like everyone getting mad at being same-sex couples being in commercial because it's brainwashing people.
Ugh, get out of here. I've been watching straight people on TV my entire life, and I've never wanted to be one. So,
Yeah, exactly.
We've tried to turn you straight for so many years, Em, and it
so
hasn't
for so
worked.
long,
It hasn't
so
worked by now,
annoying.
it's not happening.
It's
I
not gonna
know,
work.
I know. Well, they can keep trying, but
But yeah, stuff like that is alarming. So it's
I'm very glad that we are because I'm definitely visibly also queer. Christine's one of the ones that hides. You can't tell, but she's also queer.
I have a
Uh
nose ring though. The nose ring starts to hint. You know.
and but no, I'm very very excited that one of the best things that's ever come out of our podcast is that we have had people feel safe to discover their gender, and we're very big on normalizing pronouns on our show. That has become like a bit that we almost do. And people have looked into pronouns and discovered something in themselves, or even just discovered their sexuality. And one of the best things that happened anytime we were on tour, and we used to do meet and greets before COVID, um, is there would always be at least one person at every meet and greet that said that we helped them come out. And sometimes a real diamond in the rough situation, it happened 2 or 3 times, that like a much older person would come to our show and say, because of you, I can understand my kid.
wow.
And because of you, I feel like I'm closer, and the tension's gone, or I'm growing. And it's been very, very lovely. So in a world of hate, I'm very glad that we're
We have
a
our
soft landing space.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Especially because your platform is so large. So you're probably like, healing a lot more people than you think.
I
I
hope
mean, that's
so.
all we could hope so. Even just one person who feels more secure or more self-aware makes me happy. So I'll
Mhm.
take it.
Now you have a lot of projects lined up. What's next? I mean, we got the tour, the book. Is there
God, it
anything?
never ends.
Okay.
Well, next is our show, our new Unsolved Mysteries Junior that we're creating, right? All three of us. Yeah.
To be part of it.
Yeah, we just are always plugging along. We're always doing the weekly episodes, so those are always there for people to check out while we're behind the scenes working on stuff. But yeah, we've got the fall tour, which is starting off strong. We've sold out a few cities, so we're not Newark yet. So get your tickets, folks. And then our book tour, and then we've got Halloween season, which is like our Christmas. So we take that very seriously.
And we're actually coming up very quickly on our 400th episode. So
Oh, that's right.
I don't know what we're gonna do,
We
but
have no plans, but I'm sure
I'll
we'll
force
come up
Christine
with,
to celebrate in some
we'll
way.
do
Yeah.
something exciting. Yeah.
I've been saying I want a billboard for a while, so maybe I can, I don't know why. I just want a billboard. All the cool people have a billboard. I want a
Do
billboard. So
they?
maybe
All the criminal, all the
in my mind,
injury attorneys.
hey, you know what? We would at least have an interesting billboard. So maybe for the 400th, I can, get Christine on my side with that one. So
Oh, you
We'll
got to
see.
do a billboard. You got to do
yeah.
a good, like watch what happens live type of special. Either have like 10 of your favorite guests
Oh,
on
that'd be fun.
time.
That would be very lovely.
Get a big couch. We all sit on the couch and discuss. Yeah.
We should do like a rewatch, like how Zach
Live
Bagans does with his
audience.
ghost shows. We should just do a rewatch of our old episodes
I
and
think
be
we'll
like,
just be like crying out of shame the whole time if we do that at our
it'll
dumb
be
jokes.
cringy, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
See.
figure it out. Anyway, the 400th is a milestone for me.
That is a big milestone. Now, in all the years up until now, what's been your favorite paranormal experience?
That's a great question. Um,
I feel like it's hard to top your first because it is your grandfather.
you never forget your first, yeah. You never forget grandpa. Let's see. Well, I don't know. Christine, do you have anything?
I mean,
You're go ahead.
oh,
I was
I
going
mean,
to I was going to decide for you when like you
oh,
should
okay.
just
You can do that. That's fine.
go.
No, I think we've had a lot of really creepy stuff, and I think my favorites are the ones where we're filming it for the live show because then I can watch it later and go, okay, I'm not crazy. I really did see something fly off the wall, and we got it on camera. So a lot of the stuff that happens, that's super scary, ends up being like on screen, so I can say, you see what we're dealing with, people. Look at what we had to deal with. So that's kind of my favorite is when we get creepy stuff and we catch it on camera so we can share it with everybody. And so, yeah, we've been thinking about maybe doing some down the line, like putting some stuff up on YouTube and so we can show more people some of the creepy stuff we get. Because unfortunately, none of it's faked. So I have to be absolutely terrified in the moment and then share it with everybody later. So, I mean, a lot of stuff has happened.
There was
But
our last show. It didn't even happen to me. It's probably why it's my favorite. Is because it was steered clear. But Christine had something. She opened herself up and kind of said, I give you permission to use my energy. Blah, blah, blah. Within seconds, like this big heavy picture hanging on the wall lifted off the nail and came crashing down onto the floor.
that was like the scariest thing that ever happened to me, truly.
Yeah, so that was my favorite because I got to watch it
Because you were downstairs when it happened.
Yeah. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you, Em. I had like a similar experience when I was younger. Like I saw like my deceased grandmother a couple times. I feel
Whoa.
after that it made me like a little intuitive. Do you feel like after that experience it made you like a little intuitive or semi-psychic?
I don't know. I feel like I've always kind of had some sort of intuition, and I don't know if it came from that moment because it was so long ago, but I would not be surprised. I feel like maybe it tapped into something. I've always heard that it's so much easier for children to interact with things on the other side because we haven't been it hasn't been beaten out of us yet, the idea of like, oh, some things are real, some things are imaginary, and so because you don't really have those limits, you're more accepting of everything you see and hear. And maybe if you've seen something when you're younger, it kind of keeps you open to that stuff. It's totally just like a theory, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't have the right answer, but I would not
It
be
probably
surprised at
kept
all.
you at least open-minded to know you saw a ghost. You saw a ghost. So
Mhm.
like at least you were trusting when other people told their stories. I think a lot of people don't believe it until they see it. So it sounds like you both had an experience at a young age and were able to say, "Oh, okay, that's real. I believe it."
Yeah,
When
that's a
other
good point.
people, yeah.
When I told my mom that I saw grandpa and she said, "No, you didn't." I was like, "Don't gaslight me." I did see him. So maybe I really just stayed, yeah, maybe something stayed open in me to like, don't trust anything but your eyes. And I don't know, maybe that happened for you too.
Well, I scared the hell out of my parents because my grandmother died before I was born. So I would and she would come into my room a few times. So I remember telling my parents about the lady that would visit me in my room, and they knew I didn't know how she looked. And once I described them, like their face went white because
Oh God.
they knew who it was.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I
Wow.
love those stories.
I love those stories. Do you sense her around anymore, or do you
Well, we
still
had
talk to her or
so
anything?
her name was called May, and she had a fiery personality. And like, I wasn't the problem child, but my brother was and is. So like, whenever he would act up, weird things would happen. Like he was always causing shit. So like one time, I forget what he was doing or causing, but there was a picture. It's funny you mentioned picture. There was a picture frame that fell right after he did something bad that fell right on his head. And when
Oh my
Oh,
my
gosh.
my mother would be like, "Grandma May." So that was like a running thing whenever someone did something and they kind of got checked somehow in some weird way. It
She would
would
oh
humble
my
them real
go
quick.
God.
Grandma May. Yeah.
Oh my
I like that she
God.
like it was her equivalent of like smacking him upside the head, being like, get it
Yeah.
together.
It's like
Weird shit
boop.
like that would happen. So like I grew up with that, so that's kind of what made me always interested in it. Plus I
Yeah.
Yeah.
feel ever since that experience, I'm like a little bit, I just know things and it'll be fucking crazy, but I'll say
Ooh.
and then it'll happen and sometimes no one will believe me and then I'll be like, see, what did I tell you? And it's
Clairvoyant.
I think the closest I get to that is I get weird feelings, but I have no idea what they're for. Like I just start calling everyone. I'm like, is everyone okay? Um, and that seems to be, it doesn't happen a lot, but when I have a feeling like that, it's been right every time that something was going on. But also I could just be like, something's going on all the time, and then I don't know, maybe I'm just like associating it, but whatever. But Christine actually
probably
really
had
does have moments. Like
Huh?
you're like so intuitive. She's been going to like conventions and things like that to like practice opening up her mind and things like that. And
I've just been, yeah,
the
I'm very,
is crazy for you to
well,
go,
I didn't know
what?
what you meant. I don't think I have premonitions really, but yeah, I've been trying to, tap into that world and be more intuitive and I don't know, I living in LA definitely helped foster my woo-woo tendencies. So
Mhm.
now that I moved back to Kentucky, I'm like, anyone else want to practice lucid dreaming? And everyone's
Yeah.
like,
Now
the
she's like the
hell?
witch on the corner.
I'm the
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like the weird LA witch who moved in.
be careful. You'll have a thing written about you on Twitter or social media.
Yeah, I'm afraid to even find out.
And but Christine, you're actually related to Lisa Lampanelli, right?
Yeah, she's my aunt. So she's my husband's aunt, but
I
I've
want to
known
know
her
what's the
since.
connection.
Yeah, so my husband is Blaze Lampignali, and so his dad's sister is Lisa. So Lisa's his aunt. Lampanelli is a stage name, so it's Lampignali. I hope that wasn't some huge spoiler for everybody. I don't think
No,
so.
I
But
realized that years ago, the first time she called me, I'm like, this has to be her, right? Because I noticed it was Lisa Lampignelli, but the last name was spelled different.
yes,
Well,
yeah. So
it's
she kind of made it more Americanized, from the Italian. But yeah, so she's my aunt and gosh, I've known her since 2013, 2012, 2013 now. So yeah, she's been a huge help. And like when we started the podcast and she saw it growing, she was like, okay, hit me up if you need help. And she's helped us figure out touring. She's helped us figure out how to fire really, really toxic people in our group. And she has much better boundaries, as you probably know, um, than we do. So she's been a big help getting us kind of acclimated to this whole world.
she actually at some points even was our manager.
Yeah.
She decided for us that she was our manager because we didn't have anybody looking out for us, and she went, okay, well, I guess I'm in charge here. And she hooked us up with our current manager, and she's been just such a fierce advocate for us from day one. It's even when it was just like a small little project that
She was our first guest on the
our
show.
first guest. Yeah, and it was before we never even saw this taking off, but even then she treated it like it had already taken off.
Yeah, yeah.
She was
It's a great support.
always a good friend of that.
Oh, I love that. And like, you can't ask for a better manager. And you're
Yeah.
about the boundaries thing, because I had her on, and we started talking about comedy, and then somehow we segue into like life stuff and boundaries and saying no. And I was like, damn, I'm like, she sounds like a therapist. She actually should be my therapist.
No, she's a good life coach. She really is.
She definitely and there's been a few times where I guess we were going through it with the podcast or something, behind the scenes, we were just like struggling with something. And she kept pretty tight-lipped until she waited for us to say, "What would you do?" And that was apparently the green light she needed. And she just gave us every piece of advice so I appreciate that she
She's
has
like
all
a
the right things to
vampire. You
say,
have
but
to
knows
like
when to say it.
yeah, you have to like welcome her in like a vampire. And then once you do, she's like, all right, I'll work my magic here. But once you do ask her for help, she's ready to roll.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, because she's told me about you guys from like the jump, like years ago when you guys were just starting out.
So
Yeah,
So
that's
sweet.
hilarious. She's been like seriously pushing for us, rooting for us since day one, which is awesome.
But I think she was the first person to own it, and that's why we drink shirt. And she
Yes.
would wear it on stage at her own shows.
Yeah.
She was like, it's been very, very lovely.
I love that. I think she had mentioned at the time one of you drank and one of you were sober. So M, you're
Hmm.
sober, right?
Yeah, I don't drink. Yeah, and which was ironic because we started a show called "And That's Why We Drink," and which was not the original name of the show. So that was never even like something that was meant to like totally come up. It was, but then when we realized that we were going to change the show to "And That's Why We Drink," it was pretty glaring very quickly that like only one of us actually drinks. So
But it's good because a lot of people relate to you because they don't drink either.
yeah,
Or
Yeah.
just like how this has been like I like to think of us as some sort of queer safe space. It's also weirdly become a safe space for people going through sobriety or people who just don't like to drink. And we did not see that coming, but I guess a lot of people are hesitant at first when they hear "And That's Why I Drink," that they don't really come to the or listen to our show. But later on, this is what people tell me in my DMs at least, that months later they give our show a shot and realize that
we're not just two drunk idiots. I mean, I'm
yeah,
sometimes a
yeah,
drunk idiot, but at least one of us is sober all the time.
yeah, one of us has the reins at some point. It's always a different day on who is what, but yeah.
Yeah.
I love that because like, when it's time to drink, you could just have like your mocktail. And it's a
Mhm.
good balance too. I love like shows like that, like where you have like one character that's like this and the other one that's, the opposite, but the blend is perfect. Like you being a drinker like me and you being sober. Um,
Yeah, it's weird because I guess like I don't know what the proper term is, like one person's like the straight man and one person's but weirdly I feel like Christina's sometimes the straight man and I'm just drunk on vibes.
You're
I
just
don't know.
wackadoo. You're
Yeah.
wackadoo on your own vibes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We find a way.
well, now you know what I'm seeing that is like that's good for people that are in general, but it's also good for people that are sober. Do you see like they're gradually becoming popular, these like botanical drinks where it's
Yes.
ashwagandha, L-theanine, and all these calming herbs. And
Well,
like
I've discovered marijuana recently. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's helped me drink less.
Have you heard of the sleepy girl drink or the nighttime sleepy girl drink?
no,
That's another one where it's like got the L-theanine and it's like a tart cherry juice and something else. It's supposed to be like a natural. I don't know, you're putting a bunch of stuff in it, but it's supposed to be like a more organic version of like melatonin. It's supposed to knock you right out. It's called like sleepy girl drink. Or so a lot of people know, at least on my TikTok, are like getting fucked up at night to take their sleepy girl drink, where they're basically just drinking cherry juice with some like melatonin in it, I think. But there, it's a people are finding ways to make fun with it.
The brave new world out there.
I know. But
right?
no, I've seen yeah, ashwagandha, L-theanine, and then ironically it looks like it's spelled like MAGA or Maca. Maca, is that what it is?
Oh, it's
Maca?
Maca powder. Yeah.
Yeah. I always see MAGA and I go, oh my God. But that and then like I think lion's mane, that's supposed to be like the like quadruple effect
That
for
doesn't work on me. I need to drug myself to sleep. I mean, listen, I love natural remedies. I'm like a glass of wine and some Benadryl. I'll be out cold.
Benadryl works. Let me tell you, I got
Works
Benadryl.
absolutely.
I was having insomnia. I had surgery 2 months ago, and ever since then, I feel like I've had a little bit insomnia. So I'm like, and last week I was getting horrible sleep. So I got Benadryl Max. That'll knock you the fuck out.
Oh, thank God. That's what I need. Yeah.
what's worked for me in the supplement world is magnesium, which I did not expect, but everyone was saying that makes them really sleepy, and I tried that. It actually works pretty damn good.
Oh,
So
okay. I'll write that down.
magnesium glycinate, because apparently there's a different magnesium that makes you have to run to the bathroom all the time.
Yeah, with
So
the iron in it. Yeah.
so maybe just remember
Just
magnesium
like Google
glycinate.
it first before you take our medical advice because it's very
Uh,
questionable and we know it.
But no, to answer your question, I am very aware of all these like new botanical things going on, especially in LA. There's so many bars popping up that are zero alcohol bars. Um, and I'm currently on my current mocktail. My summer mocktail right now is a Trader Joe's combination of a bunch of juices. But I just told Christine about this, that one of my only issues with the zero proof or the zero alcohol bars is that I just want fruit punch. I really just like, I don't need
M's
all
like
this
M was
fancy
never a
stuff.
drinker, so M's not looking for drinks, mocktails that taste like alcohol. M's like, I don't want to taste anything alcoholic. I want to taste like strawberry juice.
Yeah, I want basically a grown-up juice box, and I feel like a lot of these bars are really catering to people who are going through sobriety and are like they're trying to get that same flavor fix from before. And I'm like, I don't want that. I want a Capri Sun, and
No
I just
bitters
need
for
you.
M.
I
Mm-mm.
want Sunny D,
I want a
something like
Capri Sun.
yeah. And I feel like if
Well,
you're
you can
going,
get that, right?
some places are all
At the
about the
store.
fancy. Well,
Oh,
yes, at the store. But there's
okay.
some, I appreciate that there's some breweries these days that now just like have a whole cooler full of juice boxes. And I'm like,
Oh, that's
that's
awesome.
great. I don't
That
know
is,
why we're not doing that at the zero alcohol bar. That would be a perfect combination. But
I like it. These zero alcohol bars. They don't have any around here. I wish they did.
Not in
they're very
Kentucky, I'll tell you that much.
they're very classy. They're very like the vibes are perfect. It's very every one of them is like so Instagram, TikTok worthy. Um, but not enough of them just have a juice box.
It's just so
So
aesthetic, you know? It's the
yeah,
LA way.
the LA way, yeah.
The LA way. I need to make my way out there. I've never been to the West Coast. I've been
Really?
Oh,
in this country. I've never been to California.
LA's fun. San Diego's beautiful. Yeah,
It's all
it's a,
very lovely. What
it's a great spot.
where in New Jersey are you?
Bergen County. Are you
I'm
familiar?
I was born in Freehold and my whole family is from Marlboro.
Oh, so that's Monmouth County. So
Okay.
Bergen County is, think the huge mall, Garden State Plaza
Hmm.
in Paramus.
Gotcha. Okay.
I
Is that
literally
you're
live
over there?
there. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I lived in New Jersey when I was a baby, so I don't remember it all that well, but that we were all kind of in that one spot and then we moved away. So.
Jersey's interesting. I have a love-hate relationship. I often fantasize about moving to Las Vegas or Florida, like
Oh,
Mm,
until
toasty.
I read about the bugs and all of that. Now,
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
to Florida a lot, but it's always December or February or like one of those more manageable months. But everyone always complains about the summer, and then that scares me.
You're
And then
like in the swamplands all of a
I feel like
sudden.
Las Vegas is better because it's cheaper and there's entertainment at any time of the night. Like that's the comedy shows, everyone has a
Oh,
residence,
yeah.
the casinos. Um, but then I hear they also have like a Black Widow and Scorpion thing. So I just feel like
Yeah, just don't go into the desert part, you know,
oh
just
my
don't like
God.
don't leave the city. Any desert, I'm like, there's gonna be scorpions and
I've never
snakes.
found a reason to care for a desert, to really even spend a day
It's
in
not
one.
really my vibe.
No.
Yeah. Well, I think we have to wrap up just because we have to record
yeah,
an
no, we've
episode,
been going for over
unfortunately.
an hour. So
Yeah.
Oh wow.
yeah, I just realized that. So this has been like one of my favorite interviews ever. So thank you.
Oh, that was so fun. We always love an opportunity to talk about ourselves and ghost stories. So,
Yes, definitely.
And I'll probably see you at the New Jersey show.
oh, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
But just so everyone knows, are you doing meet and greets at that show or on the tour in general?
No, we don't do meet and greets anymore. We weren't able during COVID, everything kind of changed around. So we're not doing meet and greets, but we try to make the show as interactive as possible and do a drinking game, and we sell merch and our books and all that good stuff. So hopefully people will have a good time.
Fun, fun. Well, I'm looking
Yeah, well,
forward.
I'm happy you're coming. That'll be exciting.
I know, I know. I might cut this part out, but maybe we could grab a photo for the magazine.
Oh,
Yes, totally.
absolutely. Let's do it.
But but yeah, and for the podcast portion, are you ready for smile? Because I'll probably scream.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, totally.
Ready
So
for my close up.
smile in 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
Yay! Well,
So
thank
thank
you
you
for
again.
having us.
This was awesome. I'll tag you in everything as it starts coming out on the magazine, the podcast, etc. And
Yay.
look forward to meeting you in Newark.
Yeah, we
Great.
can't
Thank you
wait.
so
Thanks for
much.
having us, and you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye, you
All
guys.
right, bye.